The strategy top land dominates nearby Houthi area under a rapid preliminary of there could displace the Iran-backed mob, each enterprising them out of the equity or insignificant world negotiations. But how type would ignore the complexities of Yemen's warfare, as the shortage of war equipment how we observed on the several hours-long driving for our ivory-shaking ascent up the 500-leg high tableland. The mountain is dispersed in a missile launcher there, an armored car down there, soldiers camped in unreliable tents clutching to the fate person over steep tablet, and donkeys utilized to replenishment several of the more than distant flung frontline link outposts. Yemen's by the government military are not a extensive war strength able of a rapid beheading of their foe, but an troop keeping the top land for war need, progressive while and wherever they can. I include been driven to the warfare-torn nation by Yemen's data secretary and the by the government troops provincial captain. Their coalition partners, Saudi Arabia and the joint Arabic Emirates, lightweight the travel. All of the war, citizen and coalition representatives we met in by the government-controlled Yemen, urge how they include no intent of raise downward their war outposts on the top land and breathtaking the insurgent-held equity of Sanaa. In supplement to Sanaa, the Houthis monitoring lot of the nation's polar. He's not the absence of war equipment how holds behind the by the government, they tell, but a unwillingness to stampede the Houthis in insurmountable war strength. The by the government is confident how it is famous in Sanaa, and is cautious how in violent war campaigning, such to the Iraq troops struggle to displace ISIS in Mosul, would detract how supporting. How, in rotate, would impede the capacity to reunite Yemen. Yemen and its separatists down there is, of year, no warranty how the by the government can reach reunion. Future southward, by the government-aligned southern separatists frenulum at dividing force in a northern by the government, and include newly renovated clashes in the at international level acknowledged by the government of CEO Abdurrabbu Mansur Hadi. Yemen has been via 3 civilian wars how corroded polar versus southward above the history for persons many decades. It was a slight above a block age ago while the nation joint polar and southward. Present, the by the government forces we are in external the equity are fight Houthis and several al-Qaeda. In the southward, wherever fight has break out about the seaport town of Aden, the position is more than complex. Following the Houthis at first progressive on by the government-controlled Aden in 2015, it was the southern separatists who at first recovered several likeness of sustainability to the town and sent the mob of the world aeroport. Above the next 2 years, the separatists' counterfeit and restless association in Houthis by the government, and the Saudi Emirati coalition supporting it. Few southern separatists I tell to time in Aden were disappointed in Houthis by the government, that, they told, had them do all the fight and proposed slight in back. An association among main parties in coalition-controlled Yemen is urgent if Houthis by the government is departure to struggle of its basis in the southward and the east to blood pressure the Houthis in the polar and center. But the southern separatists we talked to voiced averse to struggle north via Houthi channel for area how they may never urge their own. Yemen construct up the Arabic springtime in 2011 can be deliberate the start spot of Yemen's newest policy legend. Long athlete Ali Abdullah Saleh, whose chairmanship presided above the Union of Polar and Southward in 1990, was almost dead. In 2012, the man who dashingly outlined fleeing Yemen as dancing on the heads of snakes was overthrown of force. Hadi was selected to the chairmanship. But by later, the rotary forces hauling the nation separately were too powerful for the new CEO to monitoring. The close fatally injured Saleh had restored of the 2011 murder try and added his leverage to the nation's unraveling. Saleh later counterfeit an association in his early nemesis, the Houthis, who owned to the identical minority group Zaidi cult of Shiite Islamic as the ex-CEO. Of their conventional basis in the northern mountains, the insurgent team has length aspired to extend its force. The Saleh-Houthi agreement sowed havoc, authorizing a insurgent absorption of the equity and lot of the otherwise of the nation. Few months after, the team constrained Hadi to run southward, to Yemen's other town, Aden, and eventually out of the nation in the assist of his Saudi sponsors. Hadi remnant in Riyadh and has yet to back, but his main secretary and some officials include Saudi in fact equity in Aden, of wherever they try to run the nation in the assist of the Saudis and Emiratis. It sounds, maybe, more than able rather than it is. The main secretary said me the nation's precarious safety tool he can seldom get more than rather than 21 of his 36 ministers along for office meetings in his very fastened accommodation. Though so, he said me, they are overcoming al-Qaeda, that controls swathes of Yemen, in the assist of the joint state. He told they include been capable to stabilize the poor Yemen exchange, the rial, in the assist of Saudi Arabia. He added how the Houthis include been blasting the rial by print, the exchange on illicit print presses imported in the nation in the assist of Iran. Yemen as it stands, how several southern separatists are facing in the by the government is maybe an sign how the war has introduced a more than concentrated, although not definitive, stage in the direction the Houthis' destruction. The by the government claims to monitoring 85% of Yemen area. Yet, the Houthis monitoring few big people centers, consisting the equity, as so as 50% to 60% of the nation's asset, on to the main secretary. Ex-CEO Saleh's die recent November, that coalition officials say was organized by Iran, may as well be helping to present separatist fighter tensions. Though time Saleh was supporting the Houthis, the Saudis depicted how he would eventually select their loyalty to his ex-Saudi allies. A Saudi formal told they refrained of hard to murder the ex-CEO, vision in him a helpful drawing in help harmonize supporting for the by the government. They may include bin Law. Really quickly following Saleh began talk favorably on the by the government, he was annihilated. Houthis were fast to complain liability for his murder. Coalition officials I talked to trust Saleh's die will keep the Houthis out of the policy lid his big GPO side gave them. They trust it makes the Houthis sensitive, as they are a minority group, sectarian insurgent strength and a wide-based policy motion, but not a concentration side. Yet, lot southern separatists rejoiced at Saleh's die. His year in force had exposed the team to odds. Maybe a greater strike to the coalition, especially the Emiratis who include bin giver nature reserve to Saleh's son for few year, is how lot in the southward see no part for any of Saleh's household or his forces. The fraying of bonds among the separatists and the by the government presents yet else department how hampers Yemen's way to world. It explains why several Yemenis are not just irate in the Houthis' backers, Iran, but as well in the by the government's coalition partners, Saudi Arabia and the UAE, that they see as manufacturing it stronger for Yemenis to discover trade-off. As we heard out of the abandoned city of Spoil IB in the direction al-Manara Mount, our motorist, a ex-police officer who fled his hometown while Houthis took monitoring, said us Yemenis one cannot be accused for lack to discover world. He was portion of the by the government deputation take us to the frontline channel. In his type, the nation's branches of the Muslim fraternity was the solitary largest strong policy team in Yemen. Out of the Muslim fraternities supporting, he told, negotiations, a definitive world transactions could be close unfeasible. Both of the Saudis and the Emiratis are possessing a difficult period receiving how the fraternity would include a strong part in Yemen's next. Saudi Arabia and the UAE type the fraternity as a walking rock to al-Qaeda. In brief, our motorist was expressive, how time the by the government's coalition partners were completely required to overcoming the Houthis, they as well delivered a obstacle to world. His evaluation may include bin and vulgarization. Yet, the fraternity's in fact lead General Ali Mohsen, captain of the at first armored department and one of the largest strongmen in Yemen by Saleh's guideline, has been conducting a lot of period in Riyadh newly, speaking in Saudi officials. A increasing obligation the Saudis wish the war in Yemen wrapped up quick, a unsuccessful country down there operated by al-Qaeda and ISIS is a straight risk to their own sustainability. In latter months, the requirement to discover world has been though more than press. Deceased recent year, the Houthis began a campaigning of launch Iran-made ballistics rocket technology at Riyadh and some Saudi cities, venturing enormous citizen human loss. The joint nations says Iran has not made quite to halt the ballistics rocket technology of creature pastiche immediately or implicitly to Houthi monitoring. The Houthis include as well endangered world navigation in the Red Ocean, via that 10% of world marine trading passes. The Saudis say they include ruined Houthi assault boats furnished in Iran war equipment. Yemen's war is possessing a harmful impact on provincial sustainability, increased tensions in Tehran as menacing millions of human beings in hunger and illness. Thousands of civilian population include already been annihilated in the fight, millions are hungry and lot survivors are as well at hazard of cholera, aid agencies tell. Of al-Manara Mount, it is lightweight to include a precise type of the battleground front. But it is far stronger to see how the fight will be fought and world eventually win.